I never intended to steal from Taco Bell, it just kind of happened, a spiral into something I couldn't control and, to be honest, didn't want to. I was 22, fresh out of college, drowning in debt, and desperately trying to navigate a world that felt decided to sucker punch me with every twist and turn. It all started the day I walked into the brightly lit Bell, the familiar smell of seasoned beef and melted cheese flooding my senses. I was there to get my usual, but as I waited at the counter, my eyes drifted to the open kitchen. The employees moved like clockwork, a flurry of activity, laughter, and the occasional shout overshadowed by the hum of the fryer. It was that moment I noticed the employee in the back, filling an oversized bag with quesadilla slices, throwing in handfuls of tortillas as if they had just realized they were giving away treasure. And in that moment of weakness, my brain switched to survival mode. I had just entered the world of free food chaos, and the exhilarating rush of adrenaline cascaded through me. I started small, slipping nachos and soft tacos into my backpack, the thrill sending electric jolts down my spine as I made my way to the safety of the parking lot. There was a kind of madness in it, a freedom, and with every successful theft, I devised bigger plans. Over the weeks, I learned the schedules of the staff, their shifts, the times when the manager would step out for a smoke, leaving the back exposed and unguarded. I developed a routine. I'd swing by Taco Bell during the late-night shifts, the foggy breath of my breath visible in the cold air. While they were distracted with customers, I'd ease the heavy back door open, and it was like slipping into an alternate reality. Inside the glorious kitchen, I'd fill my backpack with stolen burritos, packets of hot sauce, and still warm churros, reveling in the thrill of stealing what I had never known I wanted so desperately. I justified it to myself, telling myself I was saving money, beating the odds. But deep down, I sensed a darkness creeping in, an insatiable hunger to take more and more until I felt like I owned that fast food kingdom, like I could control it all rather than just scraping by. I could practically taste the fear I had instilled in the employees. I was the phantom that snatched food from under their noses, the invisible hand siphoning their labor. As the months passed, I became careless, brazen. I was addicted to the rush, and one inevitable night, the doors that had once been my gateway to culinary bliss turned into a trap. I hadn't realized they had installed new cameras, tiny, circular spy eyes watching every move with a relentless hunger, and that evening, the tension in the air crackled like static. The busy peaks of the late-night drive-thru were replaced with the dreadful silence of anticipation, and as I slipped through the door on autopilot, my heart dropped when I noticed a figure waiting just inside the shadows, standing impossibly still with an unsettling grin painted across his face. He wore the Taco Bell uniform, cap tilted forward just enough to hide his eyes, but I saw the glint of something metallic in his hands. He stepped forward, revealing a badge that shone ominously in the fluorescent lights. "I'm with the management, and I know all about you." My breath caught in my throat as reality rushed back in. The time for playful thievery was over. I was cornered. I stumbled back, grappling with guilt and despair, realizing I had gone too far. He chuckled softly, his voice dripping with a mix of amusement and menace. "You think it's just about food? Look around." I glanced towards the employees, who now watched me with an electrifying mix of confusion and fear. Suddenly, everything that I thought was a victimless crime was charging back at me, and I felt the weight of my actions crashing down. They knew, and they were ready to turn a blind eye, but not out of kindness, out of something darker. As the manager gestured for me to step closer, dread clotted my insides. I didn't just steal tacos, I realized. I had stolen an identity, fabricated a horrifying connection with a place I had once loved. The walls around me began to close in, and with it dawned a sense of primal dread. I would leave this store empty-handed, but not in the way I had thought. My reputation, my future, everything I had wrapped up in fast food dreams shattered in a heartbeat. I was no longer the hidden thief, I was now the hunted. The rush of the last few months turned to ice in my veins. I turned to run, dodging the horrified glances of employees who whispered among themselves, unsure of what to think of this violation of trust. I pushed the door open, crashing into the cold night air, heart hammering in my chest, and as I sprinted into the darkness, I could hear the unmistakable sound of a walkie-talkie crackling to life behind me, the voice cold and indisputable. "We have a code red, the thief is on the loose." I never went back to Taco Bell, not because of any regrets but out of the looming presence of shadows that seemed to follow me into every corner as if they were eternal reminders of the boundary I had crossed. The temptation of my former thefts echoes in my mind. Can't help but wonder what else I could have taken from them if I just reached back for one last bite of their nightly drive-thru. What haunted me most wasn't the fear of the police showing up at my door or the embarrassment of being caught. It was the chilling thought that perhaps they weren't just guarding food, but something darker, something they had a lot more to protect than just their tacos. Now, I can't enter a Taco Bell without feeling the eyes of my past glaring back at me, a mark of shame in the grease-stained shadows of their kitchen, forever haunted by the meals I stole, and the name I carved into their walls, a name they call out from every sleeping town across America, a name that, if whispered just right, still echoes back. To me, the thief they never really caught.